Hello and welcome to At Home with Mindy. Today we're going to make shortcrust pastry. So we're going to need 225 grams of plain flour, 50 grams each of baking butter or margarine, whatever you want, but the baking solid block one, and I've got 50 grams of vegetable shortening. You can use lard, but because I have a vegetarian in the house, we use shortening, the vegetable one. It costs a little bit more than lard, but it's worth it because you just don't want all that animal fat in you. And a pinch of salt, and anywhere between 30 and 60 mils of water. The recipe says 30, but it doesn't work for me. So we're starting off with our plain flour and a pinch of salt. Then we just stir that in. So 100 grams in total. You can use all butter if you want, but if you're having something, turning it into like a steak pie or something, you're not going to taste the butter, so you don't need to be too expensive. Right, stir that in a little bit, coat it in some flour. Because what we want to do is we want to turn this into breadcrumb looking mixture. I'm lucky and I got one of these pastry things, because you want to keep your room cold, you want your hands to be quite cold, so the butter and the shortening you need to keep in the fridge till the last minute. So we're just going to rub the two together. It will take a couple of minutes, and you have to keep wiping it all off of this. We'll just keep going. It's quite a good day to choose to do pastry because it's raining outside, so it's keeping the house temperature nice and cool. I don't know why they say pastry needs to be made in a cool room and with cold hands, but we're nearly getting there. There's still some big bits, but it is breaking up quite nicely. If you do this with your hands, try not to use all of your hand, just the fingertips. This is quite easy, and it is, I say it's easy, I'm not actually very good at making pastry, but this is a basic learning skill, because if you can do pastry you can make quiches, pies, yeah, there's so much you can do with pastry that it's worth trying to learn and to keep attempting. That is the butter and that stirred into sort of breadcrumbs, quite large breadcrumbs, not tiny ones. Oh, there you go. And then we're going to start with about half of the water and try not to put it all in one spot. But like I said, I've got 60 mils because This is my third attempt of making pastry today. I did it the first time like the recipe said, 30 mils, and it just wouldn't stick together. It kept crumbling on me. I have made a 60 mil one that's stuck together, but I haven't tried rolling it yet because it's been in the fridge. You need to let the gluten in the flour relax, which is why you put it in the fridge for like half an hour first. See, that is 60 mils, which is double what the recipe said. But I can feel that that is starting to come together better. You can actually feel that it's turning into a dough. And you can sort of see that it is forming into lumps. So, it still feels quite dry though. So with my little oh, where's my measuring spoon? With my little measuring spoon, I'm going to measure another half of this. You won't necessarily use it all. See, it's not actually half, it's probably a third. So I'd say that could be between 80 and 90 mils we've put in now. Now I'm going to try using my hand, see if I can get it to form into a soft ball. I have washed my hands before we started filming. See, this one is working out much better than my first or even second attempt. See, that is coming together nicely. I think that's how it should be. And we'll just put a bit of flour so I can just quickly knead it a little bit before we wrap it up. Yeah, that is holding together. The one I did earlier, I couldn't even move it without it falling apart. But I will still use the pastry, it's just it's going to be quite hard to do. Yeah, that's holding together nicely, so we'll just give it a gentle roll. And I'm going to turn mine into a sort of log shape. So it's still cracking a bit, so I think that still means it's a bit dry. But I don't think we're supposed to add water after this stage, so we're just going to have to hope that it holds together when it comes to it. But that is basically pastry. You just have to keep practicing and practicing. What we'll do is we will try rolling it, even though we haven't let it set for 20 minutes. We'll just see how it does roll. See, it wants to crack, but it is holding quite well. So I've always cheated with pastry and got my older daughter to do it, because she did cookery at school and they did pastry a lot. She is brilliant at making pastry. Yeah, see, that one is working quite well. So I'll get a bit actually we'll just carry on rolling it, because I have got a tin here that's greased. Where to put the bowl. So we're gonna, oh sorry, I kicked you then. Make sure it's not sticking to the worktop too much. So we are going to carry on rolling it even though we've never let it rested. Yeah, actually I'm quite pleased with this one. Because they do say you should turn the pastry, not the rolling pin, but I think that's because it can get stuck otherwise. But that's turned out really well actually, especially for me. Right, so that is definitely big enough for this. This is just a cake tin. I don't have a pie tin. But and then to lift it, you put the rolling pin on and we can lift it like that. And then we can place up. This should be enough to do a top and bottom, but I don't want to push my luck and roll it too thin. And then just going to find the edge of the tin and cut off the excess. Because we will oh, I've just put the knife through. Just put the knife through now, but luckily where it's squidgy I can push it back together. This bit we're going to keep in case we're making a lid. So I'll just put that to one side. And you want to gently, with this part of your finger, you just want to gently push and make sure it's got all the way into the bottom, because pastry will shrink when you cook it. That's why we've left some. We have left some extra. We haven't cut it to the inner circle. And with this, unless you're going to put your filling in straight away, or it's like a quiche will be quite quick to cook, you can cook it like put your filling in then cook it. Or if it's going to be something, I'm trying to think now. Say you're using a steak pie and your meat and all that is already cooked and you're putting gravy in, you'll want to blind bake it just so that your dough doesn't stay doughy, help it dry out. And to blind bake it, you'll need a bit of parchment paper, which I've already managed to rip into a circle. It is bigger than what it needs to be. And then, because I'm quite a cheap person, I don't own baking beans. I just get the cheap type of rice. And then we can pour that in, because you want to weigh it down so that the pastry doesn't puff up. Oh. So you just put, you can use dry baked bean, harrogate beans or any dry pulses, because baking beans are quite expensive. And then you just put this into your preheated oven, I think it's 180, for like 15 minutes to help cook the pastry. If you want to store your pastry case, you want to make sure, because you want to store it for a later date when you're going to make something else, you'll want to cook it for 20 minutes to make sure the pastry is cooked all the way through. But if it's just to blind bake it a little bit to make it so you don't have a soggy bottom on your pie, 10-15 minutes is fine. You're just trying to pre-cook it a little bit. So pretend it's cooked. When you have finished with this, do not throw away your rice. Just get an empty coffee jar, a sticker, and just put do not eat. You can put this in here and then you've got it for next time, because it's no good for eating that if you've cooked it, the rice. So we're just going to put it in here and save it for next time we're doing a pie. And that will be the basic how to make pastry. So if you follow a recipe and it says 30 mils, I would say go up to 90 mils for every 8 ounces of flour, because the one I tried earlier did not work that well. This one is with 60 mils of water. I've just taken it out of the fridge about 10 minutes ago. And I've got so much mess here now. But as you can see, it's already cracked. Put a bit of flour down. We'll see how well this one rolls. It's harder to roll because it's been in the fridge, that's quite solid. I think you can skip putting it in the fridge. But this one's not doing too badly. But I tried making one with 30 mils and you can see it just, on this one you can see that I couldn't do a big circle. All I could get out was little ones, but they're going to be baby quiches, so that'll be fine. But yeah, between 60 and 90 mils I'd say, because this one is working well. So thanks for having your basic lesson with me, and we will get on to make quiches in a little while, but I'll do that in a second video so you don't have to keep watching me make pastry every time. Thank you, and I'll see you again.